All right, y'all. We are live June 17th, 2022, the Friday edition of the podcast. I got Dennis with me. It's your homie, the SMT. We're going to be hosting the show tonight, and we've got a few stories to cover. One of them, a cable story. The other two, 5G ultra wideband, 5G plus C band. There's still issues. And then we actually have an explanation as to why the carriers may have raised prices, specifically, namely Verizon and AT&T. We're not going to put T-Mobile in this because they didn't touch the plans. They left them alone. They did some other things, but whatever. Dennis, what do you think of the topic lineup tonight? What do you think, man?
I think that you are the best at curating topics for a fantastic show, and that I want to thank all the people that are tuning in early so they can be here for every action-packed moment. Make sure you smash the like button on your way in, and if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of the uploads from Sneed Mobile Tech.
And look, man, the diehards are here. We got Adam. He just popped in. Good to have you, sir. We got Caesar in the house and Tito, hashtag Mod Squad. Look at all the mods showing up now. The homie Mike West is here. The show's a little bit later than usual, so it's all good. No big deal. I do apologize that I didn't start at the normal time of like 8:30, but we should be good for the go, man. The topics tonight, one's a little contentious, Dennis. I'm really aggravated with this story, man. How about you, the C Band story?
I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually had a real good moment because I was so busy at work today to actually get on the scoop. I saw you posted the video, but I didn't get a chance to watch. What's going on?
Dude, C band is it's still a thing. It's still a problem. The FAA, the altimeters, the potential interference stuff, still a pain, man. And it actually looks like the trouble now is simply that the aircraft operators are just unresponsive. They're not doing anything to deal with the issue. Right? So we know where the carriers stand, we know where the FCC stands. The testing, all the data, no interference, and then aircraft operators saying that there could be, there might be, and they haven't done anything to mitigate the issue. All right, so we're going to talk about the buffer zones. We're going to talk about the issue with the planes. We'll talk about Verizon and AT&T and what they're trying to accomplish, and then the obstacles in this instance of things kind of getting in the way. And it's falling back on the aircraft owners and operators.
Sneed, you're getting my blood pumping, but I'm going to
Dude,
try to stay calm.
it's aggravating. I know what you're saying because this is the same problem we had 6 months ago.
Well, dude, alls I want to say is if there's anyone in the government, specifically in the FAA, show me the smoking gun.
Right?
Do you know what that analogy means, Sneed?
Sure. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, show me where C-band actually causes a problem for airplanes. Like, actually show me what the specific issue is. And then, I know this is a wild idea. Oh my God. I'm going to say a swear word. Work. Do your job. Fix the problem so people can fly safely and we can have incredible infrastructure deployed.
All right. So the way we're going to do this is with two parts. We're going to start with the Verizon statement on the FAA and 5G. They got a new agreement, right? And then we're going to take a look at it in totality. There was a reader's story. I covered it earlier today. And then the Fierce Wireless story is pretty good too. They kind of put a nice summary into it. So let's start here with the Verizon statement. This legit came out earlier today. I guess Verizon felt compelled to drop, an update or something to their news center. And here's what they said. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, announced that an agreement has been reached regarding C-band spectrum near U.S. airports. The following statement may be attributed to Craig Silliman, EVP and Chief Administrative Officer for Verizon. Today's announcement identifies a path forward that will enable Verizon to make full use of our C-band spectrum for 5G around airports on an accelerated and defined schedule. Under the agreement reached with the FAA, we will lift the voluntary limitations on our 5G network deployment around airports in a staged approach over the coming months, meaning even more consumers and businesses will benefit from the tremendous capabilities of 5G technology. The progress is the result of months of close collaboration with the FAA, FCC, and aviation industry, sets the stage for continued robust 5G development.
Before you read further, I need to take a quick pause here.
Yeah.
There is a hole in this logic. If C-band is a problem, then having it at some airports would be a problem. How does this idea of a phased rollout solve an issue? I don't get it. if it's an issue, then there should be no C Band by any airports. Why are there exempt ones where it's okay and others where it's not? Can you explain that rationale to me, the simpleton sneak? Because I don't get it.
Well, the issue is it's the aircraft operators not responding. It's not really an issue.
Right, but
Like
what I'm
there
getting at is, like, why would, say, I'm just using an example, I don't know if this is actually the case, but, like, why would, say, Pittsburgh International Airport be okay when it has Delta, United Airlines, and everybody else, but then, say, the Denver airport not be okay because it's getting the same type of planes coming in and out? I don't understand why certain airports would be okay to have C-band around and not others. It's the same planes.
Yeah, I'm not really following a couple of things. The first thing is what has changed in the last 6 months? They're talking about the collaboration piece or whatever. So what's the progress? What's the plan moving forward, and who's going to do what? Like, what is Verizon and AT&T going to do different? What is the FAA doing different? What are the airline operators doing different? What has happened? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't understand what changed either.
Literally nothing has changed. I and then they talk about like collaboration. Well, what collaboration? What did you accomplish? What's the terms? Right? And obviously if there really is interference, they need to change altimeters and add filters, right? To filter out the frequencies.
Yeah, something else that doesn't make sense to me either is I don't understand why Verizon's being so chill about this at this point. They paid all that extra money at the auction. Out of all the carriers, I think you would agree with me when I say that Verizon's network needs the C-band the most. Like, they can't afford to not have that. Like, literally, I'm of the opinion that for every day that goes by where Verizon isn't putting C-band where these airports are at because there's a lot of people there, is another day that is giving the other carriers an opportunity to steal customers from them. Because my network experience, at least with Verizon in Pittsburgh, when they only had LTE, was not tremendous like it was over where you're at, Sneak, because there's not a lot of CBRS over here. C-band made the difference, though. And I know it makes the difference because even the non-tech savvy people in my life who have Verizon have noticed a tremendous improvement in their connectivity and reliability in the Pittsburgh market, thanks to C-band offloading that traffic. So this is critical for them to keep customers and achieve growth, which is something that they've been struggling with, and it's being showed in their stock evaluations and from the shareholders. So Verizon has a big incentive to be pushing harder to get this deployed. And I don't understand why they're sitting down on this.
So to answer Tito's question, for the most part, they've stayed several miles away from the airports, but the buffer zones have actually reduced. So they were previously like 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. Now we're starting to see them shrink to like 2 miles. And it looks like the end game is to just completely eliminate it and get these sites that are near the airport, get them fitted with N77 gear. So, I mean, they're trying to reduce or eliminate it completely. Big shout out to Teddy. Appreciate the super chat, sir. He said Sneed Telecommunications. What do you think, Dennis? We should open up shop. We should do business.
I mean, you do have 5 gig AT&T fiber available to you.
All right, man. Let's look at the story from the holistic approach here. It says AT&T and Verizon give the FAA another year to fix airplane altimeters. So this is that plan that Verizon said, the accelerated plan to get C-band out there. Let's look at the terms and see if we're happy and we like this. Okay, so what is being called a phased approach, I'll highlight it in blue here so you guys can see it, requires operators of regional aircraft with radio altimeters most susceptible to interference to retrofit them with radio frequency filters by the end of this year. So it looks like by the end of 22, Verizon and AT&T want to go full power and full-scale launch around airports. And the only way they can do this with peace of mind for the FAA is to have all those freaking aircraft with those old altimeters either changed or modified with the filters.
Calling it right now.
You
Guarantee
think they
there's
hit
an
that mark? Are they going to get to it by the end of the year, Dennis?
No.
I agree. It ain't happening. They're going to want a 6-month extension or another year at least. And they still won't even have it done.
But
They're going to want a
continue on.
handout, dude.
Yeah, but continue on. Go ahead.
It says here this work has already begun and will continue on an expedited basis, according to Nolan, whoever that is, acting FAA administrator, Billy Nolan. the same time, the FAA has been working with wireless carriers to identify airports around which their service can be enhanced with the least risk of disrupting flight schedules. The certain mitigations that have been in place were valid until July 5th, so they had to do something else. Apparently, that's why we're getting this update now. Based on progress achieved during a series of stakeholder roundtable meetings, wireless companies offered Friday to continue with some level of voluntary mitigations for another year. So that pushes it until July 2023 to install filters or other enhancements to their altimeters. So you know what this sounds like, Dennis? By the end of 2022, most airports are going to have reduced or eliminated buffer zones. However, there will be some that still have major buffer zones until 2023, July. That's what this sounds like.
I know. I'm just still struggling. I feel stupid for not having. I feel ignorant maybe a little bit here, but like I'm trying to grasp like if the problems with the airplanes, right? Specifically said, I believe regional flights, like domestic flights. Every airport is going to have layovers from various flight companies because that's just how it works. Like if I wanted to fly to say Europe, a lot of times I know I'd have to go to the Pittsburgh International Airport, be dropped off in Detroit, and then from Detroit I would go over to like Italy or something, for example. Like that's just how like flight paths work, right? So how are they gonna be able to eliminate an airport as an area where they can go full power when flight routes change all the time when it comes to these domestic planes? Like, how are they going to control that?
Yeah, I don't understand the process here. In terms of my understanding, is A block C band is 3.7 gigahertz. It is the furthest away from potentially impacted altimeters, which are operating above 4.2 gigahertz. It's not even close, Dennis. Like, literally, you could make the argument that the C block or the B block would be more concerning. This is the A block, which is furthest away.
Right. I agree with you on that, but I'm
And the
saying like
simple fact, I mean, you even mentioned it. You said all these flights to Europe and Asia where they're using N78, which is like right smack dab same frequency.
well, it's not even just that. Like I'm saying like the FAA's thing is like this, right? So there's going to be certain planes, right? Domestic planes that might not be properly fitted with their altimeters if we go with their logic, right? So there's going to they believe there'll be an interference issue. And they're saying that we want to update some of these planes to make it so that certain airports can have the restrictions lifted. But what I don't understand here is like, how do you control which planes go to which airports? Because like, are they just going to completely do a rerouting of how like flight traffic works? Because that's what would have to be required. You'd literally have to be like, all these planes with these models can't visit these airports. You
That's what I
basically
was going to say. You've got to take inventory of the planes that might be impacted. If there is a legitimate concern, you got to keep them away from certain airports.
but that would like that would like screw the pooch on so many flight paths, though.
100%. Well, that's the only reason why you would say they mentioned the scheduling, right? They were talking about how it was going to impact in the scheduling of flights and all that. That would be the only way.
It's so ass backwards. It's so
It really
stupid.
is. Thanks, John. Appreciate the super chat. He said Telecom Poppy. That's the hashtag. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. And it was a pleasure being on your show earlier today. Did a live stream. Zero Cool says Europe uses 3.8 for C band, so different situation for them. How? How's that different? How we use 3.7 to 3.9? Am I missing something?
I don't know. I'm just getting really annoyed by how people that get paid way more than I do can't figure out a solution that actually makes competent sense and why it's taking so freaking long.
He said, this Nolan dude, radio altimeter manufacturers have worked at an unprecedented pace with Embraer, Boeing, Airbus, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries to develop and test filters and installation kits. Customers receiving the first kits now. Most cases, the kits can be installed in a few hours at airline maintenance facilities. What do you think of that, Dennis? This problem can be fixed in a few hours.
I think it annoys me, and I think I'm actually shocked by the fact that these filters weren't already existing on the market and required development and
They
R&D.
were. They have existed. This is crazy. These filters, I mean, I've had this conversation with Zero Cool, who, obviously has more experience with, RF and satellite and damn Nolan, dude, man, this guy's capping, bro. Absolutely capping. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Lazy, cheap. They just don't want to pay, dude. I can't think of anything else other than that. I got the links in the live chat. I'll put them in the show notes too once we're done here.
Sneed, what, just out of curiosity, I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head, but what do you think the actual monetary cost is to refit a plane with a filter? Like, rough ballpark.
I think I looked it up. I think it was like $4,000.
Seriously, that's it?
Yeah, if that. It might have been cheaper.
You've got to be joking me.
No,
It's
I'm
literally
not joking. I remember when I first covered this story, I remember going to like eBay or somewhere. Actually, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do a quick search.
if
Radio
it's literally that
altimeter.
cheap, I'm very angered because oh my god, if the airplane companies are really being that cheap and playing a gamble with quote unquote safety of passengers and making this whole mess happen over 4 grand per plane, that's ridiculous. I mean, these companies maybe have how many domestic flights in circulation that we need refitted? Ballpark, like 1,000, if I'm being generous.
Us used radio altimeters filters are $200.
No.
Yeah, retune kits are 700. So I'm guessing that would be kind of something they would want to do. Here's an indicator PN. I'm guessing that's probably one of the better ones. That's 1,000.
Dude, someone just needs to sue. Someone needs to sue Delta and like United Airlines. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's all types of filtering technologies. Yeah.
Yeah, this sucks. Only in the USA could this possibly happen.
The most expensive one I could see right now is $1,300.
Jesus, man. Only in the USA, man. Only in the USA could this happen.
Oh my god, it's crazy. All right, Dennis, you ready to shift to this next story, bro hamster?
Absolutely, before you give me a stroke.
Well, this one isn't any better, man. Verizon quietly hikes prices similar to AT&T. The story from today, Monica Alvin, Fierce Wireless. Did I put this in the show chat or whatever? Did I do this yet?
Yeah, you said why Verizon and AT&T are raising prices.
Okay, so did I link it? I just want people to be able to.
Oh, no, you did not link it to the
All right,
comments.
then let's go ahead and do that. I just want to make sure that everybody can access this, and I know people appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get there. Okay. All right, let's see what this is about. We potentially have a reason or an explanation as to why Verizon and AT&T have been increasing fees. All right, so Verizon is calling adjustments, administrative charges increasing from $1.35 to $3.30, so basically $2. And then they increased legacy plans by $6 on a single line, $12 on a multi-line. That is exactly what AT&T did about 3 weeks ago or whatever, about a month. And that's going to be hitting customer bills this month, I think, the July bill or June bill, I'm not sure. Here's what a Verizon spokesperson told Fierce today. While we recommend our shared data plan customers migrate to an unlimited plan to take advantage of all we have to offer, we are not requiring it. That said, for the limited number of consumer customers remaining on these accounts, we will be introducing a rate plan adjustment in their next bill to account for the added costs of maintaining these legacy plans. Dennis, they are saying they're not making enough money on those plans. How do you take it, sir?
Well, you're talking to Socialist Dennis today, and I want to call BS. They're making plenty of money on those plans. In fact, I would argue that they're probably even making more money on those plans than they do on the unlimited because those plans don't have the problem of having to pay for things like Hulu, Disney Plus bundles, and all those other perks. And on those old plans, they get to break in billions of dollars still from overage costs whenever people go over those gigs. So I call baloney.
Yeah, the $6 for a single line, $12 for a multi-line is 100% a deterrent to get people out of those plans and get them onto one of the newer plans, which would be what? Start Unlimited, Do More, Play More, or Get More. Clearly, those plans are more profitable for Verizon, and that explains why they're doing this. And we knew this when AT&T did it. It was 100% a power play to get customers out of those legacy plans. I don't know, shared buckets of data and these older legacy ones. They just don't want people on them anymore, and they want to make more money. And they'll tell you, oh, the customer will end up saving money by switching to these newer plans. Well, if the customer is saving money and the company's making less, then why would you want them on those plans? It doesn't make any sense. They're capping, bro. They're lying.
Yeah, I don't know. What I do hope is that for every person that's watching this video, I hope that you share this moment right here, clip it, share it on all your social media, let your family members know. If they're on one of those legacy plans, you should be telling them to leave Verizon postpaid and go prepaid. Go US Mobile, go Xfinity Mobile, go somewhere else to get the same Verizon coverage for a cheaper price because it's not worth the price increase. Sneed, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, let's say, for example, the amount of money that your bill is going to increase becomes unbearable and you just refuse to pay it or something like that, then I totally agree with Dennis. You need to start exploring some more affordable options. And to be honest with you, Dennis, with the way that these networks are starting to get built, there is going to come a point where the networks will be capacitive enough. Being on prepaid and MVNO will matter absolutely zero. Like, that day is going to come. 90% of your tower sites are going to have 5G plus, 5G ultra wideband. Simply put, QCIs and all this other stuff, it's just going to be a thing of the past.
Yes, so Sneed, you're actually misunderstanding me a little bit. I'm saying I'm taking a call to action from the community to speak with their fund bucks and tell Verizon that they can't keep increasing pricing like this and to go to a more affordable option,
Well, if the
regardless if they can
concern
bear
is
the cost or not.
right, but if the concern is that you'll be getting a lesser product on prepaid MVNO, I'm here to make the argument that the value is that much better to where it's not that big of a deal, and the networks are going to be good enough where you're not really falling off much in your experience. So, I'm endorsing what Dennis is saying. I totally agree. I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
because I
if
mean
if
you've
if there was a mass migration, Dennis, a
Mhm.
massive churn spike of, like, let's say AT&T goes from like 0.86 to like 1.06. That hurts, right?
Yeah, and Sneed, I just want to say you've tested things out like Xfinity Mobile and tell the people your honest opinion from your testing.
It's damn good. It's just like my Verizon postpaid account.
And yet it's a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, you bundle with the cable and they'll save you some money, I guess.
And the same thing and the same are you still not liking US Mobile? I feel
I
differently.
did not like US Mobile.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean, but I don't know. Something was wrong with my experience. I'm hesitant to do my review video, but I think what I should do is I should explain my experience, make sure I mention all the networking, comparisons to postpaid and all of that, and then my experience with customer care. I'll just dictate all of it and I'll just frame it as my experience. And I know some people have loved their service, and just mine I don't think was as good as theirs.
fair enough. Yeah, I had a good experience with US Mobile. It was pretty like good, but
Maybe I should
yeah.
try it again. I don't know.
I mean, I will just say when I tested it with an iPhone 11, it wasn't good, but then when I tested them again with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, it was solid. It was pretty comparable to Xfinity Mobile in performance, which, as you said, was
So,
on par with your Verizon. So
yeah, so maybe I'll try it with my Pixel. Can I do an
maybe
eSIM on a Pixel?
I believe so. I
If
think,
not, I'll put it on my 12 Pro, I guess. Or no, my 13 Pro.
but yeah. So Verizon being Verizon, I don't understand why they're raising their prices yet again, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. I think when people keep their plans, they want to be left alone. And if you're not going to leave them alone, they're probably going to churn. Like, honestly, Dennis, if I'm a customer, my bill goes up to a point where it frustrates me, I'm not going to move to one of their other plans. I'm leaving. Just out of principle. I mean, what would you do?
Man, it's a tough pickle.
Especially if the other options I have are decent, right? So, like, I'm not really trying to go from a good carrier to a bad one. But if I can go from a good one to an almost as good one, or
uh,
basically the same, and,
I'll put it to you this way: if T-Mobile tried to raise my bill, I would be very, very upset, and I'd have yet another reason to want to leave. If AT&T raises my family's bill, on the other hand,
are you saying you'd suck it up?
I, I mean, bro, you've seen what AT&T is like at my house on stream and in my market. I mean, there's still to this day, there's no one that competes with network quality in Pittsburgh like AT&T. I mean, Verizon's getting better. Like C Band is really helping them, but AT&T is so freaking consistent. I mean, 100 megabit, you're guaranteed 100 meg consistently or better, and you're guaranteed bars on phone everywhere in Pittsburgh and all of PA really, like with AT&T. And Verizon isn't quite there yet, and T-Mobile's far and away not there. So there's not really a good option to switch to.
Looks like Southwest Ohio speed testing made the switch. Offered the super chat. Let us know he's got Spectrum Mobile. Good if you're on N77, not counting against the measly 20 gig. Yeah, so then basically when they go completely N77 in most of these major markets, I mean, you're going to spend, 90% of your data either on Spectrum Mobile hotspots or N77? You kind of see it that way, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you're going to spend all your time on N77, and like you said, there's going to just be an infinite amount of capacity, and I believe it's to my understanding that Spectrum's plan works kind of like Xfinity's, where if you're on N77, it doesn't count against your 20 gig bucket. I might be mistaken on that because I don't have Spectrum personally, but it's to my understanding that it operates in the same way.
Yeah, those people are going to have a good situation. That's kind of nice, man. Because you save money with the plans. What are they charging? $30 on a multi-line?
So Xfinity, if you're doing, let's see, one line's 45, two lines is 80, three is 100, four is 120. So that would work out to $30 a line. And then it gets cheaper progressively. I think it works its way down to like something like $20 a line when you get to 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they'll let you do 10 lines?
Yeah, you can do up to 10 lines with Xfinity Mobile.
That's pretty good, man.
But
Thanks, Southwest Ohio speed testing.
slight caveat. So you can get up to 5 lines at first. For the additional 5, you have to do like another credit check or have good tenure with the company to get the additional lines though. So
Yeah, man. Thanks, Zero Cool. Appreciate the super sticker. Video game controller dances goofily under the word woot. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Man, look at all the super chats coming in. Appreciate you, Zero Cool, and everybody else that's throwing around the super chats. Tito's throwing too. Appreciate you, man. Wish I could give you 100K, but I'm 9 to 5er, so and sending something your way. Thanks, Tito. Yeah, you didn't have to, man. I appreciate it, man. It's nice of you. Thank you so much. Joseph says, agreed with Dennis. AT&T is so consistent in the Tampa area, while Verizon and T-Mobile suffer from congestion issues. And that puts you in a position where you have to choose the carrier based on performance. If it's that much different or that much better. The ideal situation, Dennis, is all 4 providers are giving you the best of the best, right? Like they're all really good. So then you choose on price, you choose on a feature, you choose on a bundle or possibly a special discount that qualifies from like work or something else. See, that's how you would pick, right? You don't want to have to pick because of necessity, like, oh, I have to have AT&T because T-Mobile doesn't work at work or at my house, or I have to pick Verizon because they're the only carrier that works on my drive, when I hit these back roads and I got to go back about 30 miles off the beaten path. Those are the worst scenarios. They kind of put people in a pickle.
yeah, like if I had to describe Pittsburgh to you, Sneed, at least in the modern day at the current moment, this is how I would describe them. Ready? AT&T is the most well-rounded and experienced, best coverage, best performance, best everything overall, right? Verizon has the coverage, like pretty comparable to AT&T for the most part. Like you're going to have it enroll and everything like that. But in areas where the N77 is missing, they're missing the speed. It's really slow. I'm talking like less than 3 meg slow.
Oh, they got work to do, Dennis. We know they need to upgrade.
And then T-Mobile is the opposite. They don't have the coverage, but where it's available, it's generally fast. Very fast.
I hear a lot of people say that.
Sometimes even faster than AT&T even, where it's like really well tuned. Like when we were at Robinson Mall, remember when we were at Robinson, we were getting like 600-700 meg on T-Mobile's ultra capacity. Like that was a well tuned site. But AT&T's got the blend that matters. Like if I got bars on phone, I know it's gonna work. T-Mobile, I have to ask myself if it's gonna load or if it's just gonna time out. And then Verizon, it's gonna be like just uber slow. Like it'll work, but it's gonna be super slow. So honestly, if AT&T raised prices enough, I'd probably try to convince my parents to go to Cricket, but my dad isn't going anywhere. Like I said, dude, he's been literally with AT&T since AT&T Wireless was born. He's not switching till the day he dies. So there's not even a point in me arguing, which is why I said I'd probably just deal with it because I'm not going to fight with my dad and I'm not even the one that's paying for the line. I'm just paying like $10 for it. So I'm not going to argue with him. Anyway.
Yeah. I was going to echo the same sentiment. Like my dad literally said, I remember it was either like maybe 1 or 2 years before the merger. It was at least a year. So maybe 2018 or something like that. And I was like, yo, Pop, I think we could save some money. Let's go ahead and make the move over to T-Mobile. I think I got quoted. I think it was going to save me about 20 or $30 a month. And it wasn't that big of a deal. Honestly, I just wanted to try T-Mobile. You know, I saw that the coverage had improved with the, band 71, right? The 600 megahertz and stuff. So I was like, let me give it a shot. And my dad was straight up like, he's like, yeah, you could do that. That's fine. You know, go ahead. You guys can move all your lines to T-Mobile. But he's like, keep my shit on Verizon. And I was like,
Literally, like, I think the only way my dad would consider switching from AT&T is if his cell phone bill was $300 again. I
yeah, it would have to
legitimately
be something major would have to happen, like a enormous snafu.
Yeah, like, it would no, like, I'm being serious, like, $300, like, it would have to go because that's what he used to pay at one point, believe it or not, Sneed. It would have to go up to $300 again, I think, for my dad to actually consider switching from AT&T. And right now, we're not there yet. I think we're chilling at,
You
like
guys have 4 lines, like 200 or something?
we're actually at 3 we have 3 lines, and it's, like, 88 or something like that because I got my dad that S22.
Oh, you're financing devices?
Just one, just the
Yeah.
S22 for my dad.
Yeah, but these phones are like $40 a month, dude.
Well, no, it was when they were doing remember when Samsung was doing the, double the
Oh, he
storage?
traded in the old one and got some extra
Yeah,
feature or
he had an
whatever.
old Pixel 3a, and so I got him an S22. It was time for him to get an upgrade. It was time.
Mhm. Yeah. So you just get it on bill credits over 36 months?
Yeah, it was time. His 3A was looking pretty ragged. Listen, my dad is old school. He'll wear shoes till there's holes, literally like to the point where you can feel like the seams type of deal on the bottom and stuff. And he's the same way with his phone. And it was time, man. That thing was dying. It wasn't lasting long for a charge. And honestly, the antennas in the 3A weren't like the best. So getting him the S22 really helped out a lot from a coverage standpoint, especially with all the I know 5G over where you're at, I don't think is as good, but over here in Pittsburgh, it seems to really help with uplink capacity. And plus, now that there's C band here as well, just having a 5G phone, I think, was good for him, even though he doesn't use a lot of data. So he's good now. Plus, he has band 30. I don't think the 3A had band 30 support, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Okay.
So like he was missing out on
Well,
some of
that's
the
on most
coverage.
sites, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he was missing out on some of the coverage. So getting him an updated phone was a pretty big priority, and it was just time. It was just time. That phone was old.
totally agree, man. Super chat from Andre. Appreciate it. Ton of people leave postpaid, go to an MVNO. Do you think Verizon AT&T charge the MVNOs more, causing the prices to rise? Those agreements do have a time frame. So it's not like they could just decide to change the terms of the agreement, but I think price changes could happen in the new agreement. So let's say, for example, US Mobile has X deal with Verizon right now. Well, 3 years from now, it could be different. Could be the Y deal or the Z deal, and that rate could be more expensive.
Well, the agreement length depends on the company like making them, right? Like
Sure. Yeah.
companies like Xfinity and Spectrum, their deals are like 10 years. They're long. So
Oh,
we know,
they're completely perpetual. Yeah, it's
yeah.
long term.
Whereas other MVNOs, they might do like a yearly deal, like where they're re-upping every other year, and they're going to be impacted by price changes. It just depends on the MVNO. I will say though that generally speaking, I can't see Verizon going too drastic on their wholesale rates for MVNOs, strictly because then I can see the government stepping in because the whole point of the MVNO market and prepaid market being in there is to help serve people that don't have good credit and, bridging that digital divide and all that fun stuff. So I feel like they'd have to be a little more careful when they're negotiating their wholesale rates. Otherwise, they might get slapped for monopolistic practices or something.
Yeah, so Tito brings up a good point. He says T-Mobile does great, Verizon has gotten better, AT&T has degraded. I think that's an indication of their accelerated growth over the last couple of years. They have done a nice job to upgrade towers. A lot of their towers are pretty modernized, but in areas where we're starting to see a little bit of that drop off in performance, I think it's correlated to their growth. They've been selling a ton of 5G phones. People are definitely getting on the network. They have organically grown the most of any carrier. We've seen quarters where they've led the way, even against T-Mobile in those quarters where they had free lines.
See, but Sneed, my problem with T-Mobile is when it comes to their network approach, I feel like they're more reactive when it comes to their deployments. Like they don't proactively just add capacity for the sake of capacity because they know that people are going to use their services more. They only do it or do a fix whenever the network is literally unusable. Would you agree with that as a stance?
I mean, yeah, well, in my market, they don't have the market share for them to really truly be reactive, meaning they don't have enough customers to congest the network here. So like their only issues here still remains tower density and some coverage issues once you get out of the major cities. Then that hasn't changed at all. But like I have seen markets where T-Mobile's market share is extremely high, like 55%, 60%. And in that instance, yes, Dennis, they can be reactive. But I have to say in my market, they're not because they're just not under that pressure. I feel like AT&T's been put under a little bit of pressure with their growth. They've had to react a little bit. Verizon 100%. They've had to absolutely react. They needed tower upgrades yesterday, right? Several months ago, years ago, and getting more spectrum and getting these tower sites upgraded.
The only way I said what I said, and I know people get tired of when I talk about Pittsburgh only, but like when I look at AT&T, right? I don't think there's been a single year that's gone by where AT&T didn't do some kind of upgrade. Like AT&T still to this day gives me little text messages on my phone when it's like this cell site in insert city has been upgraded. I don't know if you ever get that at your place, Need, but AT&T sends me text alerts whenever they upgrade sites that are near
I
me.
wish I could get that. I've heard of that. Actually, friend of the show, friend of the channel, John, he's sent me screenshots of those notifications from AT&T.
Yeah, so like every single year though, Sneed, for like the last, I would say 10 years, that's been something I get. Like I always get like a text notification. It's for my parents' house because that's the one on the file. But it's always like this site's been upgraded, or I see small cells being added. And mind you, AT&T already had a network lead, and they're still adding capacity. I'm literally watching them put small cells on every other like telephone pole when they already had small cells for like say every 5 poles. And I don't know why. Like they're putting these small cells in like the middle of nowhere at this point, essentially. Like literally just long stretches of highway. They're just adding capacity, right? Meanwhile, T-Mobile, they literally touch a site and then take like a year to optimize it, a year to add backhaul to it.
That's crazy.
Like, and then Verizon will does pretty decent at like upgrading their existing sites here, but I don't see them adding small cells like they do in your market or like AT&T does. Like what Verizon needs really badly to fill in some of the coverage gaps in the cities where they can't get roof mounted cell sites or macros can't penetrate is they just need to add small cells. That's the only answer for them to fill in those coverage gaps. Like I told you about how at my buddy's house, there's just a huge dead spot in the middle of Pittsburgh. I mean, it's literally like just outside Dormont, which is a very well off part of Pittsburgh. And it's just a dead spot. The only thing you'll connect to is one of those like Roma Home femto cells. Like you'll see the little house symbol in your Galaxy. And that's the only coverage that Verizon has for like maybe about a little less than like a quarter of a mile. And that's
So
like in the
without it, the network would be disconnected there?
correct. You're literally connecting to someone's femto cell in their house.
That's crazy.
And this is Verizon in the middle of the city, not rural, middle of the city. They just need a small cell there. It's a
I'm
null
surprised
zone
they
for
haven't
them.
done that. They tend to do that pretty well here. They love their small cells here.
If it's
And
still like that, man, and you're down, I'll take you. I'll take you down to the spot so you can see it for your own eyes. You'll just be awestruck. I was shocked when I saw it.
that is shocking. It's just unusual for a carrier to not have a dead spot in a developed city is just weird.
I mean, to be fair, T-Mobile has no service, and
Wonder if
AT&T
it's
only
an
had
interference issue.
AT&T was the only one that had coverage there. It was like 2 bars of their 5G NSA.
Huh. All right, so David brings up a good point as well. Maybe MNOs start to shorten the length of their deals going forward. So what's the advantage of an MNO having a shorter deal? Yeah, I mean, makes total sense. You shorten it up and then you force a renegotiation and you increase rates. The only problem is if your competition comes in lower and then you end up losing that account. So that would be like, say for example, Verizon shortens up their MNO, network as a service agreement with a company, and then they say, "Okay, Verizon, you want to raise rates? We're going to explore." They
Yeah, but
take that deal and
MVNOs aren't gonna switch their accounts up, Sneak, 'cause that would mean reissuing new SIM cards, and that's a huge expense for an MVNO.
well, I mean, that might be a problem today, but moving forward with eSIM, I mean, not really an issue.
eSIM solves that problem, but I think you're underestimating just how long it's gonna take for consumers to all move to eSIM-capable phones. We're talking, like, 10 years.
Yeah, which kind of sucks. People are unresponsive.
Do you wanna change gears, though, to, maybe a topic that won't give me a stroke?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, you're gonna love this one, Dennis. Little bit of little bit of cableness, I suppose. All right, so word on the street is, Dennis, and I think this was actually something someone reached out to me. Uh, I don't know, maybe the market kind of depends in this instance. There might be a couple of pilots or trial markets. So just to give you guys a frame of reference, the market is in Georgia. I think it was Augusta. And within the DM, they reached out to me and, told me about something that's coming from, I think it was Comcast. And this is interesting because there's like a whole slew of offers coming, like these different speed tiers. And I can just give you guys some of what they shared with me. So the first thing that they mentioned, like on the entry level point, so like they've got this like entire long like list of speed tiers. All right, so 50 megabits per second downlink, right? And then that's symmetrical. So that would be 50 by 50. And then they're calling, and they even have like names for these plans. So like that makes me feel pretty confident in it. You know what I'm saying, Dennis?
Yeah.
Because like if they name it and they have a name for it, you feel like pretty confident that that's probably what it's going to be and how the terms of that plan or tier is going to be. They got 100 megabit, and that's downlink, and they have 100 megabit uplink. So you could essentially finally, it's a cable connection, and it's going to give you 100 by 100. Like if you simply just needed a 100 megabit symmetrical connection, you can get that now. And then there's a 300 megabit downlink tier with the 100 megabit uplink, right? So that's not symmetrical, but that's still pretty good.
That's
And
basically that's basically the best fixed wireless experience you can get right now. 300 by 100, I'd say.
yeah, pretty much. Oh, we got a. I think this. Did I miss this super chat, Dennis? This one from Southwest Ohio speed testing.
Yeah.
This one from on Verizon. Verizon has 2 to 4 small cells in most populated cities around me. They also added a tower back in 2020 at my work that gets like 200 to 500 megs. So that sounds like they upgraded your area pretty nicely. I mean, that's pretty much what I see here, man. That's how the suburbs are, at least. Most Cleveland area suburbs have 2 to 4 small cells and upgraded macros. They're doing pretty good. And thanks for that super chat, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you,
next.
Southwest Ohio.
Yeah. The next tier that we're hearing about is 600 megabit downlink, 100 megabit uplink. So it looks like the 100 megabit uplink is kind of the maximum, but you're kind of you get to choose your downlink with plenty of uplink. So Dennis, like this 100 megabit uplink here, that's game changing for cable because for the most part, what's cable's max been? 30, 40, 50 meg uplink?
Yeah, like 40 to 50 has been the max.
Yep, and then they got this next one, it's 900 by 100. Then they got a gigabit extra, 1.2 gigs down, 200 up. So there is a tier that is faster on uplink. I wonder what they're doing different there, and why they're only including it in the gigabits. So, it's an upsell. And then there's a 2 gig down, 200 megabit up. That's going to probably spark the interest and the intrigue of a lot of people. What do you think, Dennis? They got a 1.2 gig download and a 2 gig download with 200 meg uplink on both of those plans.
Yeah, I definitely think the 2 gig is just gonna be strictly there for the marketing piece so they can claim, like, fastest internet or
Or
whatever.
like AT&T.
Yeah, and probably in a response to fiber providers, you said it was in somewhere in Georgia, so I'm gonna guess AT&T Uverse is probably down there, so they probably did that to compete with them.
100%. 100%.
But, as far as the upload, I mean, the upload speed really is really what is the big takeaway from this, right? Like, the 2 weakest things about DOCSIS internet that we agreed on were price and upload speed. I would say 100 meg upload, while it's not, you know, gig symmetrical or whatever, I don't think anyone's going to complain with 100 megabits per second of upload. Like, there's literally no
No?
argument that can be made that you can't do whatever you need to do with 100 megs of upload.
The only thing I don't know, Dennis, so I got to see all these I got to see the list of each of these offers like listed, but I just don't see pricing. So if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is essentially 7 tiers. How do they go about pricing? What do you think it's going to look like? That entry level 50 by 50, what would you pay?
On a promo, or like, are you asking what I think they're going to charge as a promo or full price?
Yeah, because they're going to advertise this, right?
I think if they do a promo, they'll probably do it for $20.
I was going to say about $25. Yeah. And then when you
Because that's
double
what
up
they
and
do. Because that's what they do right now for the 50 by 10.
hmm. So then it goes up to the 100 meg symmetrical. What do you think that comes in at?
Probably like 30.
Okay. 300, you think they come in at about $40?
I think they'll come in at either $40 or 30 if they're competing in a market where AT&T's at, because I think they'll lower that and make, because like over here in Pittsburgh, right?
That's what AT&T charges for their 300 tier.
Yeah, but like
$40.
like over here in Pittsburgh, though, I remember at one point they were doing they call it Performance Pro over here, but it's 300 by 10 now. And I
Mhm.
remember they were doing like a promo where it was like $20, and if you got mobile, it was 10. And that's because it was like a hyper competitive situation over here for a little bit with the new houses being built. But I
Well,
know
Dennis,
other.
what are you willing to pay for the 2 gigabit per second tier? It's 2 gigs downstream, and it's 200 megabits per second up.
What am I willing to pay, or what do I think they'll charge?
What are you willing to pay
Maximum I'd be willing to pay is $100.
for the 2 gig tier?
That's the max I'd be willing to pay. Yeah,
Okay, and what do you think they're going to charge?
probably 150.
Hmm. What is AT&T charging? 180 for 2 gig?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll see what it comes out to. I have a feeling they're going to probably charge at least 150. That
My
would be on the low end.
This is my bet on pricing. This is my bet. For the 50 meg tier and the 100 meg tier, I bet you they don't even do promos on it. So they'll probably just charge like the normal full price for it. And I guarantee you they'll probably start with promos on the 300 meg tier by 10, or excuse me, 300 by 100. Since that would be, once the price, like the promo ends, that would balloon to a more expensive price for them, so it would be more profitable. And I think they'll come in at like $30 on that. So they'll probably do like $30 for 300. And then for the 600 by 100 one, they'll probably come in at like
50?
40 or $50.
Yeah.
And then for the 900
900, maybe 60.
the 900 by 100, I think they'll come in at like 60. And then for the gig, the 1.2 by 200, I bet you they come in at like $70.
And that would be like the best value, and you could actually use that plan. Like you could justify gigabit speed here, and the uplink is good. Ian says that the AT&T 2 gig is 110.
Oh,
So that's pretty competitive. They're probably going to be cheaper than anything from Cox Fiber, anything from, Xfinity, Spectrum, Comcast. AT&T beats them in terms of national pricing.
Yeah,
And, of
but
course, it's fiber, right? So it's symmetrical gig, it's symmetrical 2 gig, it's all of that.
the key word here, you said national pricing, and that's the key word. We know for a fact that cable will whip out every dirty trick in the book when they see competition. Like, bet your bottom dollar
There's only
that
2 cable providers that do that, Dennis.
yeah, and that's Comcast and who's the other?
Spectrum.
Spectrum. Okay.
That's it. All other regional and cable providers don't do that.
They don't
They
undercut the competition when they start coming
no,
in.
no. They double the price. Literally, Dennis, you think I'm joking? Do you know what Cox did as soon as AT&T came through here and installed fiber?
No, what they do.
They increased pricing by 25%
Wow.
to compensate for the lost business.
See, that's the opposite. Like, if Comcast was in your market, they would probably whip out some crazy promo, like $250 Visa prepaid card when you sign a 2-year contract for blah blah blah. You know, like they would be doing stuff like that. They usually low. In fact, I remember reading an article. I think it was out in Utah when Utopia Fiber was first a thing. And I remember in places where Utopia Fiber was getting installed, Comcast like lowered their prices to like drastic all-time lows. I think they were selling like gig for $40 or something stupid like that. But anywho, this is good news though. This is solving a major pain point. So this is one market outside of Denver that we've heard about now. So Augusta, Georgia, we know about now. Denver, we know about now. And didn't we have a stream where we shared a Reddit post somewhere down in Florida was also getting the increased speeds?
What city was it, Dennis?
I don't remember. It was a Reddit post that I thought I shared on your stream.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the city.
Was it the
Man.
key? Was it the Keys?
I don't think it was the Keys. It was somewhere a little bit more central as opposed to south. But yeah, I do remember it. And I think it was pilot. So it's probably going to expand, well beyond those constricted borders. I would expect it to pretty much grow like wildfire. AT&T is making it very clear that they want to win in wireline. So
So,
wherever they have their fiber, they're looking to win.
so Sneed, I have an interesting question for you. How long do you think it will take for Comcast to actually finish their upgrades and start doing this on a more national level instead of just like these little trial cities? Like, when do you when do you think they'll announce like nationwide like speed increases with these new updated plans that we're hearing about?
I don't know. Don't you think it's like ripe, just this year it's going to kind of hit the track running? Because if you look at pretty much every week or 2 weeks, we get some kind of update from a home internet provider. Hey, we're like doubling fiber speed. They're talking about GPON technologies and DOCSIS 4.0. It's just like it almost feels like it's priming, like it's starting to mount and build. So like I'm expecting something Q3, major from a couple of different companies. Meanwhile, Dennis, there's fixed wireless access is still a thing, right? Like it's just getting started. If you were a home ISP, aren't you trying to make fixed wireless like you're trying to bury it before it gets started?
Pretty much nip the bud in the head before it
Yeah,
can.
so you're gonna wanna hit it with the pricing, you're gonna wanna hit it with the speed tier, you're gonna wanna upgrade your infrastructure because fixed wireless access only has an opportunity if cable lets it. This we have to call a spade here, Dennis. Fixed wireless access only has a market because people hate cable, the way they've been treated, the way they've been priced, the bad practices, the explosive pricing. That's the only reason fixed wireless is a thing. Or
And a
else we'll
lot of those
seriously I mean, who wouldn't wanna be on a 1.2 gig by 200?
Yeah, and the only thing that's really left at this point, I mean, even with the old speeds, the only thing that's left at this point is the explosive pricing. Because we talked about this before, but Comcast eliminated contracts. Remember? 2-year price lock, no contract. We talked about those.
They really didn't wanna do that, Dennis. They painstakingly did that.
Yeah, 2-year contracts, or excuse me, no 2-year contract, but with a 2-year price lock, modem rental included, unlimited data included. And now with the updated speeds, I mean, they're basically hitting everything on the head. The last thing on the chopping block is just not making the price explode after the 2 years. But as far as the time frame goes, I'm more with Ian. I think 2023 is more likely when Comcast would announce like these new speeds on a national level, because I think the equipment shortages that have been impacting everybody in the industry are really slowing down their upgrade path. Like,
Yeah, but is that a 3.1 technology expansion or a 4.0?
uh, I think it's both, right? Because like the speeds that
It
we're
just
seeing.
depends on the area and what they're doing there.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like in order to achieve those types of speeds on current equipment, you'd be using 3.1. Like a mid split would get the job done with that. Obviously, they can have more in the bank so they can do what they always like to do. Because I don't know if you noticed this, Sneed. Probably not, because they're not in your market, but Comcast has a reputation for always annually every year, like a holiday, increasing their speeds. So I always feel like they leave a little bit on the table so they can do it the following year just to make the
All right, what's their
announcement.
lowest? What's their entry level today?
Their entry level today
Mhm.
on promo, or just the lowest you could possibly buy on them?
I don't know, you said that they increased the speed, so where are they at right now?
Well, the lowest you can get as a new customer promo is 300 meg. The lowest that you can get overall with them is 50. But just 2 years ago, and it's 50 by 10. Last year, the lowest you could get was 50 by 5. And the year before that, it was 25 by 3. And the year before that, it was, I think, 15 by 2. So that's increased every year. Um, like I remember Blast used to be 300 meg, and then the following year it was 400 by 10, and then it was 600 by 20, which is what we're at now. Um, yeah, I just know speeds have increased like every single year at some point, whether it be a download speed increase or an upload speed increase. There's always been a speed change every single year for like the last like 20 years from Comcast.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, if they're gonna go up, what are they gonna go up another 100 meg?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, it's usually been download speeds, but let's just say for the sake of argument, they did a mid split and a high split. Well, that means that just with DOCSIS 3.1 tech, they could easily push a gig uplink if they did that. Easy, all day. So they could do 100 meg up like increases every year, or they could be selective on the speed tiers for the upsell piece. Like you talked about how 200 was reserved for gig. Maybe they make gig say 300 meg upload the following year, and then they bump up the 900 tier to like the new
Can they
gig.
readily do that? You think the tech is ready to go?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if they're doing mid split and high splits, that means that they're adding a mid split adds 40 megahertz of extra usable spectrum for upstream capacity. And if they do a high split, that means they added 160 megahertz of total spectrum for upstream capacity. Because right now they're only using from 0 to 41 megahertz. Mid split takes them up to like 82, and a high split would take them up to 200 megahertz. And that doesn't even get into the point of talking about how with the mid split, that extra 40-ish megahertz of spectrum that they're using is clean. It's not full of like interference
So
and
where's
noise.
so where's the gigabit uplink?
I think they're just holding it in their back pocket because they can, to give them
I
the
was gonna
headroom.
say, yeah, I mean, if it's as you're describing, then they should be doing gigabit speed uplink.
I literally think they're just holding it in their back pocket so that way they can announce it as like an upgrade, right? Because people are going to be happy just to have extra upload. And if they keep doing it, then I'm sure people will keep being excited. It makes it look like they're doing extra work without having to spend any extra money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I hate it, but I get it.
But
'Cause I have fiber now. I mean, I'm blessed, man. You know, I'm truly blessed. I was screwed for so long, stuck with Cox Communications, you know, and trying to make things work in other ways and stuff. So, like, now that I have fiber, it's just completely changed my perspective on what I want, what I like, and, you know, meaningful upgrades for other people. Like, I mean, there's nothing better than symmetrical speed, you know? So if they're holding it, that does kind of make me resent them more. You know, like you're giving them props and I totally get it, right? They're increasing capacitive experience. But like if they're withholding something, I mean, it's some scumbaggery. Like you should, if the customer is willing to pay the money, you should be able to give them symmetrical speed, like legit gigabit by gigabit. Like I don't care if it's not 1.2 gigs up. I'll take 1.2 gigs down and I'll take 1 gig up. I really don't care. Right? That doesn't phase me. But holding it in your back pocket, come on, man, you're holding back and I got money to spend.
well, I think it's like a combination of factors though, right? Like there's the cost aspect, right? And then there's also, and aside from cost, there's also the part where like you talk about swapping out equipment, right? Like, not even though DOCSIS 3.1 has been around for like ever, it feels like at this point, believe it or not, Sneed, most US modems don't support high splits because it was never part of the usable spectrum. They only support the mid split. And that means that when I talk about cost, I'm not just talking about like the actual running the fiber node upgrade cost outside, but you also have to talk about the cost of actually getting the end consumer a usable piece of hardware. When they just released that XB8, we talked about it with the Wi-Fi 6E, and that's been like out of stock since day one. And I don't know. I feel like there's probably a reason. They're probably looking at usage. They're probably considering the fact that if they do increase speeds like that, that means even more node splits. Maybe they're just not. Maybe they're just not there yet in a lot of markets. You know, like if you think about Comcast MO, they generally try to over provision by 20%. We've seen that before when I've done my speed tests when I've had them. Right, I got above what I paid for. PA Tech, when he does speed tests on Twitter, always gets above what he pays for. And the only reason they're able to do that is because they have excess capacity at the node. Maybe they're doing a calculation where they're like, okay, at this speed tier for this neighborhood and this many subscribers, it's going to utilize at max 80%, leaving like an extra 20% overhead room as like a buffer. Hard to say though, without actually being able to see what their network looks like at those markets, you know?
Oh, we'll see how they execute this, Dennis.
Hey,
You know,
point being is that at least we're seeing something progress, right? You can't make the joke now of DOCSIS blah 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 won't be here until the time you're dead or whatever.
well, where is this? I mean, we've only heard of a couple of markets. We got to see it get at least regional. You know, it can't just be a couple of cities. It's got to be at least, you know, you could say Southeast region, Northeast region, Central. You know, like multiple states, many markets. Like it should be in hundreds of markets.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. We want to see that point. I think
Oh, and also,
yeah.
you know, when this really does something meaningful
What's that?
is when it's actually able to power tower sites.
Oh, whatever happened to wireless providers don't use coax for backhaul? What happened to that phrase?
That's my point, Dennis. Is when is this going to power tower sites?
It already does.
Seriously.
No, I'm being serious. Like I'm not
You
even
wanna
joking.
you wanna see this powering tower sites. You want this to be the transport to a millimeter wave
No, no,
node
no.
or
I'm
macro zone.
saying no, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying coax already gets used for some tower sites as backhaul.
And what would be the uplink on that tower site, sir?
It's bad. Look at places where Armstrong cable is, but Armstrong refused to run fiber to a site. It uses coax. I'm not joking.
Terrible.
Go out to Lawrence County. You can see it.
How's the performance on that small cell, Dennis? What's the downlink and uplink?
Bad. It's bad. But
Give me some numbers. I'm curious.
like 100 down and like 20 up.
Yeah, that's probably the best you're gonna get on some coax, dude.
No, they can get more. It just means that
Not that one.
the company wasn't willing to pay more for that type of service. But jokes aside, honestly, jokes aside, coax would make a lot of sense for for providing backhaul to small cells specifically. I think it would actually make a lot of logical sense because it would be a heck of a lot cheaper than having to run fiber.
Why? Most of those places have fiber on those sidewalks and aerials.
Not if you're trying to target small cell deployment in like suburbs. A lot of suburbs don't have fiber.
I mean, I don't know, some suburbs do.
A lot of suburbs do, but a lot don't. And I'm saying that coax would actually make sense because then you wouldn't have to really do any additional permitting.
If I was running 30 megahertz of CBRS, yeah, I could live with coaxial, I suppose. As long as it's got some kind of special DOCSIS treatment. You know.
Like if your backhaul was say 2 gig down, 200 up for a small cell, that's plenty.
Yeah, but fiber's the king, bro.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that
I would avoid like the plague to have coaxial running to a tower site. I mean, is it better than microwave?
oh, yes.
Right. But, you know, Like, I'm thinking about it like that. It's like, would you like to be punched in the face, or would you like to be punched in the nuts? Like,
Well, it's better than the T1 lines that T-Mobile likes to use. It's better than microwave. It's better than satellite. So,
oh, man. What about microwave from a fiber site? Like a multi-gig fiber site.
I don't know, man. You know how I feel about anything wireless, man.
Hey, it's wireless is keeping people connected, bruh.
It is, but it's not gonna replace what fiber is in my heart or coax as the next best thing.
Dennis, we like to keep you fed with a lot of fiber, so we keep you regular, man. So we definitely had to talk about the home internet today. We took care of the ISP stuff.
Yeah, we had to lower my blood pressure with a healthy amount of fiber.
All right, Dennis, let's wrap up the show, man.
All
Anything else
right,
for the
brother.
good of the order, my friend?
Yes. As I said earlier on the show, for all the people tuning in, whether you're late or have been around, make sure you're giving a big old like button to this live stream. Make sure you add some comments about what your favorite part was and what you want to see us talk about more. Share some special clips with friends on your favorite social media sites. And if you're feeling extra bored and extra hungry for more content, I encourage you to check out the Best Phone Plans channel, where you'll find Sneed has been on quite a few episodes recently. One of my personal favorites was an interview that we had with Peter Adderton. He was the founder of Boost Mobile and is now launching Mobile X, which is actually something I'm pretty excited about, and I think Sneed is too.
Dude, I can't wait to get some service on that, man. I just want a SIM. Just send me a SIM or an eSIM. I don't care. I'm excited to see what it's like. And,
Same.
yeah, it's going to be. And the guy's good. Peter's an entertaining guy. He's very engaging. And he's different, and he's got a different type of plan, of what he wants to do with his business. We're just chomping at the bit to try this, man. All right. Want to do hashtag? You got one or?
Yeah, man. Hashtag Telco Poppy, hashtag Telco Jesus, hashtag Dennis 4.0. Let's bring that one back.
That's a good one. The Dennis 4.0. Nice.
Hashtag Save the Bear, hashtag Where's Waldo? Since we're talking about the FCC being funny again with C Band. I feel like those are some pretty good hashtags for tonight's show. What do you think?
Yeah, those are pretty good. I'm gonna hashtag Project Genesis for Dish Wireless, not being able to process my order. I don't know. The website's it's a train wreck. I don't know if you guys had any success, but I'll try it again tomorrow. I'll try it.
I love Franco, man. Hashtag Best Phone Plans. That's one of my favorite hashtags for
Yeah,
sure.
there you go. Hashtag Feed the Bear. He threw that in there.
Actually, we should at Peter. In fact, I know Peter was just on a show, but he's always been on my channel, Sneed. I feel like you should get Peter on later on this year after, like, whenever he decides to launch Mobile X, right? I feel like we have to get him back on again so he can actually like be like a live unveil and you can really grill him on the finer details.
Yeah, and at that point, hopefully I'd have tested the service and used it and then gotten some feedback from the community. I mean, like everybody's asking about it.
Yo, Sneak, can I ask you a question? Have you
Yeah.
thought about actually getting any network engineers on it from like AT&T or Verizon or anybody like that?
The only thing, Dennis, that keeps this from really being, something that happens is, they want to be anonymous. Nobody wants to look like they're giving out trade secrets, and I don't want to jeopardize anybody's employment.
Could you maybe do like one of those, like, how like back on like old school TV shows when they'd have like an eyewitness victim, they'd put up like the white screen so you can't actually see the person, it's just like a shadow, and then they have like the voice changer.
Yeah.
Could you maybe do like some like edited version voice changer of like,
listen, I remember when we were doing a tower site.
well, no, I mean, I think it would be really interesting to hear like some insight about like some of the challenges that 5G has posed over traditional LTE deployments. Maybe if it's an internal employee, they can talk about some of the issues they've had with different contractors, because like we've seen some very shoddy tower upgrades happen when it's come to some of these contractor partners that we know that the carriers are using. I mean, I've seen them on Twitter, I've seen them on Reddit. Cell sites literally being tied together with like a string and a tin can and some duct tape. Like we've seen some weird stuff, right? Like I would love to hear what what's been like some of their biggest challenges, what's been what's been frustrating, what's been most fulfilling about the job itself and what they're doing. I mean, just small little insights like that would be, at least for me, I, I think that would be interesting to watch. I don't know. If anybody else agrees, make sure you comment that below. YouTube loves the comments and we love reading them. So,
David says, do it audio only, no names.
yeah.
Yeah. Josh says, bring some of the T-Mobile tower installers that sleep beside the towers.
Well, like one thing I'd also love to hear as well, and I mean this sincerely, in 2022, I sincerely wonder why some carriers seem to be more relaxed when it comes to backup power. Like to me, if I'm upgrading a cell site, I feel like backup power is a requirement at this point, and I'm curious to know why some carriers opt not to um position backup power.
Every tower here has a backup generator, just not every carrier has access to that backup generator.
Can I ask a hot take to you, Sneed?
Yeah, man.
Do you think the government should step in and start mandating that backup power should be shared for the entirety of the cell site, not like carrier specifically exclusive?
I think every carrier needs to have access to backup power. So if there's one generator on the site, I think it should be mandated that that carrier also permits others to use it, but they have to pay.
I agree with that sentiment. I think
And
that's
then
how it should be as well.
that rate should be regulated so that it's somewhat affordable, I suppose. Like it can't be some exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, because like we literally like I feel like we got into the point where we literally can't afford for like I mean we were already at that point, but we're really at that point now. Like cell phone networks can't afford to go down. Like your everyday person doesn't have a landline as backup. Their cell phone is their everything phone. And it's just insane to me that like as Josh put it, like we're all expected to have car insurance to drive, but network MNOs aren't expected to have backup power on every single cell site they put up.
I think it's a good topic for a Twitter space. What do you think, Dennis?
You know what? I'm actually feeling a lot more energized than yesterday. I don't know what it is been about today, but I've been feeling pretty pumped. So yeah, why don't we do a nice little relaxing Twitter space or hot take? What if we do some extra content for your Patreon? Maybe do a Patreon exclusive stream where everybody can hang out. That way it's recorded and you can maybe share that episode to Twitter as a little preview, a little tidbit for the holidays to get an idea of what's behind the scenes for the Patreon members.
It's a good idea, Dennis. Let's go ahead and close this one out, though. Like, share, subscribe for more, and turn on the bell notifications to never miss an upload. All things going on with the community down in the description box. All the stories from today's show down there as well. Thank you to everybody for watching. Big shout out to Dennis. Appreciate you, everybody that offered super chats and donos and chatted in the live and commented. You guys are amazing. Thanks for all the support. Dennis, we out this piece.